All right, this is where things started to go really wrong. The crane operator lowered the mast way too fast. We lost control of the furling foil, and that caused this very expensive bend. We also have a bunch of corrosion on the mast, so we'll be dealing with that too. So there's lots of work, but that's why we pulled the mast, and we're going to get straight to it. We are the Tilted Yacht Crew, and we'll be taking you places that you can only go by boat. We have decades of experience between us, and we'll be taking you on lots of fun adventures and informing you and entertaining you along the way. So hang on. My name is Mike Patterson. I've been a professional mariner for 40 years, starting when I joined the Coast Guard at 17 years old. And I'm going to share with you in this television series all the lessons that I've learned over those 40 years. So today we're in a boatyard in Southern California. It's going to be a very long day. We're going to pull the mast out of a sailboat. The sailboat has been around the world, and the mast needs a lot of attention, so the boat is capable of going around the world once again. So Tiffany here will be part of our crew. She's pulled masts before with me. Avid boater. And this is the last mast that we pulled together about a year or so ago. And there's Tiffany right there helping. Very capable person, and she'll be going up the mast today. She may look eager, but I know she hates doing this, but she always seems to be the best person for the job. That's the problem.
One of the things we did to prepare for this is as much work as we possibly could do in our regular slip, so that we came over to the crane dock. We're paying by the hour. And so you want to be well prepared. You want to have everything pulled. You want to have your rigging, the cotter pins out. You want to have turnbuckles loose. So we're going to do that before we even head over there this morning.
Okay, one thing you want to do before you go to the yard is you want to prep and make sure all your turnbuckles are loose. You don't want this stuff happening when you're in the yard, because time is of the essence. You're going to be stressed. So do as much prep work as you possibly can beforehand. We've run into trouble already. These turnbuckles have been on here for years. So you're going to expect that there might be some corrosion holding things up, and that's what we've got here. So I have my favorite tool, map gas. What I'm going to do is just heat the body where it attaches to the threads. I'm not heating up here, just where it attaches to the threads. And that will expand it just enough to break it loose. And I've already put penetrating fluid in there. So we might see a little flame when I first hit this, but that's okay. Okay, you want to move it around. Don't just heat one spot. See, that's our penetrating fluid flaming up. See that? That's a good sign, because it shows that the heat is making it all the way through to the threads. Okay, I heated it up again, and it's already easier because this body has expanded. But I'm still being careful because I don't want to bugger up the threads. So Tiffany is getting on all the other turnbuckles on this boat. I didn't count them all, but there's at least somewhere between 10 and 15 turnbuckles that we've got to get nice and loose. So when it's time to pull the mast, we just pull at that cotter pin that Tiffany was touching. And then once those turnbuckles are all loose, it's really just a quick matter of getting the rigging pulled off completely when the crane is actually attached to the mast, and the crane will be holding the mast up and not the wiring. Welcome to Dolphin Spirit. Lots of work ahead for this little lady today. So this is one of the two furling drums on the foredeck. You can see there's the other one there. And later we're going to be having some issues with that roller furling system.
We arrived at the appointed time today, and as we're pulling in to the work slip where the crane will lift the mast out of the boat, all of a sudden, the boat won't move anymore. And, it doesn't take much to tell that, okay, we know it's low tide, but you kind of hope that the yard would tell us that there's not a whole lot of water underneath your boat at low tide. Well, they didn't. So we got stuck. But it's only mud, so it's no big deal. I mean, there's some rocks along the edge, but we'll just deal with it. Now, the plan is we'll just wait a couple hours for the tide to come up a little bit, because we also have to wait for the yard personnel. They've got their timeline, so they can't just jump another boat to work on ours in 2 hours, even though we're blaming this all on them. So we're going to working together with the yard people, and we've come up with a plan to make this happen. So in the meantime, there's always stuff that needs to be done. There's always stuff that you forget to do. So we can stop being stressed out and just kind of relax, look around, see what we've forgotten, and that way when the boatyard people are ready to lift the mast out with the crane, we're good to go.
All right, Dolphin Spirit, it's time to get very busy for this very long day. George is setting Tiffany up. Tiffany's testing the system. Better to find out it's going to break now at the deck. And here's our crane operator getting things set up. Tiffany's still at the deck, and they're lowering down the big hook. George is setting Tiffany up with a bridle and doing a little bit of cranking action to get Tiffany hauled up there. You see it's hand crank operation. Tiffany may look eager, but I know she can't wait for this to be over with. It's a very tall mast. All right, slowly but surely, George cranks Tiffany up. Tiffany's got that bridle hanging over her shoulder. And George still has duties he's got to attend to, so he's had to stop for a moment to talk to somebody. Crank, crank, crank. There goes Tiffany. Tiffany's helping a little bit. Okay, so now Tiffany has the big hook from the crane, and you can see that the big hook has a big buffer, or I don't know what you'd call it. It's a bunch of stuff that keeps the hook from banging into the mast and causing damage. It also puts some weight on that hook so that the crane can lower and raise without the wire getting tangled up in the crane's drum. You need a little bit of weight at all times on that crane. All right, poor Tiffany, she's getting it figured out. This is not a comfortable position, and she's got work to do. She's uncomfortable, and she's trying to get things done. It may look like George is yelling at her, because he is, but she is kind of high up there, so he's not yelling at her because she's doing it wrong. He's just trying to yell up some direction. Oh, Tiffany's back on the deck. That's good. Mast is pulled, and boy, that's nice to see. All right, so the crane swings it over, and the crew is tending to everything. Slowly but surely, that's the way you want to deal with this. You don't want things happening too fast, because you've got to adapt to whatever happens. It may look easy, but it really isn't. It's a big mast. Now they're going to set it on a piece of wood so that the base of the mast doesn't get damaged by the cement. You can see that blue stand that rolls, so as the mast is lowered down, another attendant will move that rolling cradle into position. You can see there's a blue rolling cradle toward the base of the mast, and slowly, slowly, that's the way things have got to be done. Slow, slow, slow. Here she comes. Look at that big thing. All right. Have we forgotten anything? Oh, I hope not. So the attendant is about, oh, there, the mast shot over. Get it centered up over that stand. You don't want the mast just ending up on the ground. Go slow, slow, slow. Oh, no. Look at that roller furling foil. That is bending. You don't want that. Okay, so the mast is in the cradle, A lot of sense of relief. It is so disappointing to see this foil damaged like this, because this is an obsolete piece. If it can't be fixed, it's got to be replaced at thousands of dollars. So this is how we tied everything up before we yanked the mast. Tiffany's coming in with the tools, and they're going to get right on the disassembly portion of this thing, because time is a waste. You can't have that. All right, this is the next day, and they are continuing to get things taken apart. I know they put in a very full day yesterday, because when I arrived to do the shoot, there were parts all over the ground. So Tiffany is taking care of the detail work, doing some cleaning and that kind of thing. She actually does enjoy this work because, I don't know, it just makes her feel good. She's learning. She knows that it's going to pay off. Oh, here, put the bloody finger.
You should see George's.
Okay.
George, show them all your bloody fingers.
There is just so much work to do. They're going to be replacing all that wire rigging and maybe some of the lines as well. There's the radar. Yeah, those lines will probably be replaced at least before any kind of a world cruise. You can see there's another shot of those blue stands. This mast can be rolled around to different places in the yard. In fact, we had to move this mast a day or so later because another job was coming in and they needed this spot. So that's what that rolling stand is for. So this is a nice shot of the spreaders. Those had to be pulled off. There's the lights in a box. And so a lot of work is getting done. There's a PA, there's the masthead with corrosion on it. That will all be sanded down, puttied, primered, painted, and this mast will look beautiful. You can see how the mast has bent to it. That's normal, perfectly normal. Because a mast, you don't want it to snap. You want it to bend. So that's how it's made. There's your lights. Those are very expensive lights. I mean, there's probably $1,000 sitting in that box right there. And I don't know if they're going to replace all of those. There's a mast, a tang on the right that's disappearing. That's for the spreader socket. So many components. All those winches will be serviced. There won't be anything on this mast that won't be 100%, at least by the time they go. So I hope you learned a lot here in the yard. That was a lot of work. We made it look easy, even though there were some issues along the way. We overcame those, and that's what you have to do in this business, because every job is different. I've pulled several masts, and I think every job I've done has been a different experience. All right, so we will follow along with George and Tiffany as they get this mast all prepared for painting. George is going to do the primer work, and he's going to have a professional spray the color on the mast. So that should provide for the best work. It can also be brushed, but spraying's better. Thank you for joining the Tilted Yacht crew as we brought you along on one of our many adventures. So to help keep us motivated to produce more quality, informative, and entertaining work, please subscribe and like to show your support, and we will keep working hard for you. Enjoy your boating.